Well, major gun owners do make up a key part of the president's base. Is there concern that he could alienate them with these changes potentially?
Potentially. And we don't know exactly how far down the road the president is going to go. He's only talked about things in very broad terms. And it's worth noting that though during this listening session, the president said he was open to all ideas, there was only one idea in particular that he gave voice to at any length, and that was having teachers carry concealed weapons, which is something the National Rifle Association in general favors. So the president said he was open to lots of ideas, but when he had the opportunity and therefore took it to express his own ideas about what might work and might be the best remedy, the one he chose to emphasize was one very much aligned with the National Rifle Association's approach to this issue, which is gun-free zones, make schools soft targets. The way to harden those targets is to allow teachers to be trained and to carry concealed weapons. So, taking the president's very words, it's hard to see that he is really prepared to step very far away from the National Rifle Association's general approach to these underlying issues. The president said he's open. The White House has said that they are open to lots of different ideas, but until we actually see them put in force, or the president, by his own words, endorse legislation, we won't know. It's sounding very open. It's sounding very tactical, like in this very hot and very emotional political moment. The White House doesn't want to appear to ignore the pleas of students or families or victims, but it's going to have to be much more specific and much more detailed about what it's willing to do before we'll have any idea what the potential political blowback will be, number one, and number two, how willing or able this White House will be to withstand it if it comes.
And just to follow up on that, Major, to be clear, was there a timeline or a promise of action made by the president or any White House officials at any point during this rather remarkable, emotional conversation that took place at the White House?
No, there wasn't. The president said he would listen and then we're going to do something. As the president often says about Washington before his arrival, lots of people were talking before, but now we're going to act. We're going to do things. Mm-hmm. So he has created at least that expectation, but he's put no timeline on it. And to be quite honest, soundings I've taken on Capitol Hill still show widespread Republican resistance to something like reinstating the assault weapons ban. There may be something that would be that the Congress under Republican leadership might be willing to consider in terms of legislating a ban on the so-called bump stocks, which the president said yesterday he would like the Justice Department to create a rule to ban in the future. Congress may go that far, but in terms of reinstating either previous gun control on assault weapons or doing something new and more expansive in that regard, no signal like that whatsoever from the White House, no timetable from the White House. But to your other point, Elaine, it is worth giving this White House credit. There were voices in there that were clearly sympathetic to President Trump, but there are also voices not necessarily sympathetic to him, but very anguished and forceful on the gun control side of the equation. And the president let them have their voice, number one, let them speak at length, number two, and three, let the country witness that in a way that most previous presidents I've covered would not necessarily be comfortable doing. Was that just a way to release the pressure and gain credit for that on a tactical political basis? Maybe yes, maybe no. Not making a judgment like that whatsoever. But it is worth noting that these scenes at the Trump White House are different, and they're more inclusive of different points of view, and that was certainly evident today.
Yes, and allowing cameras to remain in there is certainly something we haven't usually been accustomed to with other administrations. Major Garrett at the White House. Major, thank you so much.
Sure.